language class. What we're going to talk about today and look at is kind of connected to a slightly weird situation I found myself in yesterday. I was at IATEFL Ukraine yesterday, and in the evening I got kind of invited along to this official IATEFL Ukraine dinner kind of thing, where Sasha from IATEFL Ukraine decided to force feed us vodka because that seems to be what people do. Visiting foreigner, it's a good excuse for him to drink vodka because he must want some. And while I was there, I committed a little bit of a kind of social faux pas because there was a bottle of wine on the table. I was sitting next to an elderly Ukrainian lady, and I poured myself a glass of wine, and she just sat there looking at me with this kind of angry face. I'm like, what? And then she said, "You must pour me a glass of wine." I was like, "I must." I go, "Well, obviously I must. I hadn't realised I must." So I poured her the glass of wine. And I was then introduced to this Ukrainian tradition of the men pour the alcohol for the women. And, slightly sort of awkward, embarrassing situation. And I'm sure you know that feeling yourself from travelling about how easy it can be to commit to these kind of awkward little embarrassing moments as you're kind of trying to negotiate how things are done in different places. And this is what we're going to be talking about, looking at vocabulary connected to, maybe doing a listening and some grammar about as well. So, have a look at this. Yeah? Going to just look a little bit at some kind of fixed phrases and fixed expressions for talking about awkward situations and embarrassing situations. Have a quick look at exercise 1. Can you see okay? Do you need lights on or anything? Yeah? How do we turn the lights on? Are you there? Yeah, okay. Okay, so have a look at exercise 1. You've just got 5 little conversations or extracts from conversations. All you need to do, put the words in the brackets into the correct order to make expressions connected to embarrassing yourself, awkward situations, etc. Okay? Give you 5 minutes. As you're going through, anything you're not sure of, any new language, shout, I'll help you. Exercise 1.
Sorry, I missed the
I'm doing a radical thing and starting at the beginning.
Individually.
On your own first, if that's okay. Anything you're not sure of, any new language, shout. Give you 1 more minute. 30 seconds. So, don't worry if you haven't finished. Just quickly, give you 1 minute with the people next to you. Just check what you got, the same or different. If it's different, who's wrong? You could both be wrong.
I realize my
Okay, let's just go through them, let's check. So, the first one, I just made some throwaway comment about how much he smokes. What kind of thing do you think you might say if you're making a throwaway comment about how much someone smokes? What do you think you might say? What kind of thing? Yes, God, another cigarette? Really? Seriously? God, don't you ever stop? Okay, it's just some kind of little casual, small comment that you don't intend to be taken seriously. Yeah, so I'll make this throwaway comment, another cigarette? Oof, okay, 5 today, about how much he smokes. But I think I must have hit a raw nerve. Yeah, I must have hit a raw nerve. Where do you think the metaphor comes from? Dentists. Yeah, I don't know, but I reckon it must be a dentist thing. You know, like if they're drilling into, you know, you accidentally do something or say something that really, really hurts someone. Yeah, because he got very defensive. What do you think he said? If he gets defensive, it's none of your business how much I smoke. If I want your opinion, I'll ask for it. Okay.
I'm not telling you how much you drink.
Cunning. It's like a reverse psychology, yeah? Yeah, turn it round onto them.
I like it.
Yeah. Again?
And I like
And I like it. Yeah, okay. And it's none of your business anyway. Alcoholic. Yeah. Another way of saying he got very defensive. He got very about it.
aggressive.
Nah. Touchy. Yeah? He got really touchy about it. And if you get very defensive, you get very touchy, usually because somebody said something and you get angry about it, you take at it. What are you trying to say? Why are you... God, okay, I didn't realise you were going to take at it. Take offence. Yeah, he took offence at what I said. Okay? Offence. And the next one? Oh, it was stupid, really. Just a slip of the tongue. Yeah? A slip of the tongue. I called her Liz instead of Lisa, but she went crazy. Obviously, it depends on the context in which you make this kind of mistake. Can be particularly problematic. Yeah? And with slips of the tongue, there's a particular kind of slip of the tongue that kind of reveals something about your deep psychology. For example, when I was a kid, one of my most embarrassing moments at school was I put my hand up and I called my teacher Mum instead of Miss Briggs or whatever her name was. And all the students were like, oh, you think the teacher's your mum? Yeah. This kind of slip, it's a very... It reveals something about your deepest secrets and your psychology. Freudian. Yeah, it's a very Freudian slip. It's like, you know, there must be something about your relationship with your mother that you're making to make you make this kind of mistake.
It's all about Freud.
Again?
It's all about Freud then.
Yeah, always.
It's all about sex and mothers,
Yes.
apparently. Yeah,
Freud like talking about that.
yeah. He was a very Freudian person, Freud. Yeah. Then he started asking me how long we'd been going out together, and I realised he'd got the wrong end of the stick. Yeah, you know, he'd misunderstood the situation, and I don't know where he got that idea from. Yeah. And, you know, it's often when you have to explain to someone, no, that's not my partner. No, what makes you think that? You've got the wrong end of the stick. Oh, okay, sorry, I thought it was. I don't think you look fat in it at all. Anyway, there's nothing wrong with being a bit overweight. Watch what you're saying. You're treading on thin ice here, yeah? You're treading on thin ice here. I guess a bit like when the rivers freeze over or the lakes freeze over and you go running onto the ice thinking, whoa, oh, you know, and then you're dead. Yeah?
Is it similar to walking a tightrope?
No, because treading on thin ice is usually to do with the context of having to be very careful in a conversation because potentially the conversation could explode. Walking a tightrope, I never use it, which is part of the problem I'm having thinking about how I use it. I'm going to have to check it. I can't think of what I might do with walking a tightrope without checking it on the interweb. And I'll save it for later. Let me make a note to myself. Walking a tightrope. I think walking a tightrope is probably usually more to do with someone who manages to do a very difficult task, like at work or something, yeah? Where you've got angry workers, you've got an angry boss, you're in the middle, and you're having to kind of negotiate this delicate, difficult situation. And each step you go, you could fall off and kind of destroy your career, and you're walking a bit of a tightrope in terms of what you do at work. I think it's probably more work situations. This is about conversations and about be really careful what you say, because otherwise the conversation's going to get angry. And the last one, number 5.
I really put my foot in it.
Yeah, I really put my foot in it. You know, me and my big mouth. I asked her if she had any kids, and how was I supposed to know? You know, there was no way I could know that she couldn't have any. Ugh, idiot. And what do you think the it is in this sentence?
Question.
I mean, the question is what makes you put your foot in it. But where do you think the metaphor comes from? Indeed. It's you said the word! Oh my God! Yeah, it's just a word. It's that idea of basically stepping in dog shit and kind of going, oh God, I've created this awful situation for myself. And maybe the same in your language as well. But there's often this idea that, you know, if you're in trouble at work, you're in the shit. You know, yeah, you're in deep shit. It's very common in informal spoken English. I have been known to use the word myself on occasion. Of course you can.
If we had, let's say, right now, a real lesson with students.
This is a real lesson with students.
Would you ask your students to work in pairs and to come up with the follow-up?
We'll come to that later. Okay, hold that thought. This is the problem with teaching teachers, is you've got two brains all the time. It's like, okay, I'm here trying to learn some new language, but why is he doing this? And hold the other part of your brain for later, okay, because we'll come back to it. Remember that question, okay? So, just quickly, with the people next to you, okay? Think about these 5 idioms. I must have hit a raw nerve, it's just a slip of the tongue. You got the wrong end of the stick. Can you translate them, okay? Do you use similar expressions in your own language? Do you say them slightly differently? How do you think you'd word them in your language? I'll give you a couple of minutes. Okay, can I stop you there? I'm sorry. Any that translates directly that are more or less the same thing? No? You don't have the same metaphor or exactly the shit one. It's funny how many languages do this. And any that you found really hard to find a translation for?
Yes, number 3.
Three.
What was 3?
Got the wrong.
You got the wrong end of the stick. Yeah, maybe you just say something like, you misunderstood me. Yeah, I mean, I know if I'm doing it in Indonesian, there's no expression for that. It's just like, you've misunderstood. Yeah? And 5? What was 5? Really put my foot in it. You don't have it?
Well, we do have, it's a bit colloquial and it's one word, but it literally means the same.
It's like a screwed up kind of thing.
Yeah.
Облажался, вот так.
Oh, okay. Yeah? Okay. So, let's move on, okay? Have a look at the next part. Similar kind of idea. You've got 5 more sentences about, you know, messing up, putting your foot in it, committing these kind of embarrassing situations. All you need to decide which words, which sentences. Take your time. There may be the odd new thing. Anything you're not sure of, tell me.
What is this
A faux pas. A faux pas is like, it's what I did yesterday. I committed a faux pas. It's a kind of a social error or a social mistake. And you commit it like a crime. Yeah, you commit a faux pas. It's a word that the French were very generous and donated to us.
What is tread?
What is what?
Tread?
Tread. It's like you're walking and you tread in dog shit.
Okay.
Yeah? Or, you know, excuse me, you're treading on my foot. Yeah, sorry. The idea is basically the same, but you use it in a slightly different way. So you can tread on someone's foot, you can tread in dog shit. Or dog poo, if you prefer to be more polite.
Can I tread over a stone?
No, you trip over a stone. You mean like that?
Yes.
Trip.
And tread on or just
You tread on. Both tread on somebody, tread on a dog, tread on, you know, tread on someone's foot, tread in dog shit. Okay, give you 1 minute just to check with the people next to you. The same or different again. We'll go through them.
No, I can't find the class. I wrote down my first one had to be subject, and the next one I wrote
So let's check, okay? So I've learned from bitter experience It's a bit like that thing about any reasons why you might be upset. Pregnant. Oh, I hope this isn't from bitter experience. I've learned from bitter experience politics. It's a bit of a... No. No. A taboo subject. Yeah, it's a bit of a taboo subject. It's a kind of fixed collocation. Yeah, it's a taboo subject in their house. So it's best to just avoid it. It's best to steer clear of it. Yeah. Anything else you might steer clear of apart from talking about politics?
Religion.
Talking about religion. Anything else? Again?
Salaries.
Talking about people's private lives, talking about salaries. Yeah? Anything else that you can steer clear of, not in a conversation?
Weight. If you talk to a woman,
Yeah?
weight.
What do you mean weight?
But like if you talk to a woman, like you are a bit overweight.
Steer clear of talking
Age?
about weight
Yeah.
or age. Anything else apart from in the conversation?
We can treat
Steer clear from open fire.
No. Avoid open fires. It's weird because even though it's a synonym, it collocates differently.
Okay.
You
So
know.
you can say children steer clear of alcohol. I mean, like you said, teenagers.
Okay,
Avoid. Try to avoid it.
steer clear of alcohol? No. Usually, the only other thing you steer clear of is people. Okay? So it's like if you work with someone and you hate them and you don't like talking to them, don't talk to me about that guy. I steer clear of him as far as I can. Maybe you've done this thing where
Like my British colleague, I steer clear.
you steer clear of him because you can't understand him. Yeah, okay. I used to work with a guy when I was at Westminster and I really hated him. We had big problems together. And like, if he was getting in the lift and I had to get the lift, I would just kind of wait. It's like hiding behind doors and things so that I don't have to talk to him. I try to steer clear of him as far as I can.
So it's only about people.
It's usually conversation topics, steer clear of politics, talking about salaries, religion, and it's people. I try to steer clear of him as far as I can. We don't get on. Yeah, it's usually those two. So it's a much narrower word than avoid. Avoid can be all kinds of things.
Stay
Yeah.
clear.
Steer clear.
Stay clear.
Not in this context.
Any other? Stay
Steer
clear.
clear, don't drink.
No, steer clear of. Yeah.
Uncomfortable questions like steer clear of
Steer clear of asking embarrassing questions if you can help it. Yeah. So it's anything that you try to avoid in a conversation. Yeah, I mean, when my dad was still alive, for the last 2 years of his life, we tried as far as possible to steer clear of politics because it always ended up in a huge argument. Yeah. The whole subject of race, it's a potential minefield on my degree course. It's a sort of war zone metaphor where, you can put your foot on a landmine and it explodes and the whole thing kind of goes crazy. Yeah, you have to tread very carefully with it. So again, it's that idea of like, there may be landmines on the ground. There may be landmines in the conversation. A conversation can become a war. Yeah, a conversation can explode. Yeah?
Okay, can I?
Tell me, of course.
In the previous exercise, we have a phrase, you are treading on thin ice, and here you are treading very careful with it.
You tread very carefully. So you don't need the with it. The with it's just kind of with the subject of race, tread carefully.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah, so the collocation there's just tread carefully. Yeah, so you can say you're treading on thin ice, or you can just say tread carefully. Okay? Yeah, if you're going to talk to her about her husband, tread very carefully.
But actually we can use with, yes? Tread careful with the politics. The topic of politics.
Yes, okay, yeah. Tread carefully with the topic of politics. Yes. I committed a bit of a... You had to pronounce it?
Faux pas.
Faux pas. Okay, I committed a bit of a faux pas by making a joke about the king and then laughing my head off, only to realise everyone was looking really, really annoyed. Me and my big mouth, yeah? And notice the grammar, me and my, not my big mouth and I. It's really common in spoken English, like, me and my brother, me and my dad, me and my mates. Yeah, for me it always sounds sort of overly formal when people kind of say, my husband and I. Oh, you sound just like the Queen. Because, everybody else says me and my husband, me and my wife. Yeah, me and my big mouth. Sorry. Hey, if you want to sound like the Queen, I left my chopsticks. Tell me. Hugh.
It was Hugh.
Yeah.
I have a question.
It's quicker than.
There was like a sentence in our students' book, I'm married with 2 kids.
Yeah.
And for upper intermediate students, it was a great challenge just to produce the sentence, because in Ukrainian, if we say so, like verbally, it sounds a bit
It's like the
strange.
people that you're married to.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were confused. Is it quite common in English?
Married with kids. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Married with 2 kids. Yeah. Because, you know, obviously, you're not married to the 2 kids. Because that would be a bit weird. Yeah? Yeah, okay. I left my chopsticks pointing up in a bowl once I'd finished, but apparently, it's a real no-no. You know, it's like something you shouldn't do. It's breaking a kind of social rule or a social convention. And when I realised my zip here had been open all that time, oh my God, I was absolutely mortified. Yeah, what do you think it means here? Very, very embarrassed, kind of super embarrassed, absolutely mortified. No, just. Yeah, it must come from that root originally, yes. I feel shamed for even laughing at it. It must come from that French root, yeah. And if you notice that someone's zip is undone, okay, and you want to tell them, your...
Flies.
there's one word.
Mind you, no.
Mind you, zip, sir.
You're flying. Yeah, you're flying.
Really?
Yeah. You're flying. Oh,
Even if you are
yeah, it's the same. You're flying.
American
Yeah. Tell me again.
Your flies are open or
Your flies are undone.
undone?
Yeah. In Indonesian they say your door is open. Yeah. Okay. I often have this in class where students will kind of go, your door! And you go, what are you talking about? Your door! Oh, thank you. Yeah. And one last thing, there was a quick question about tread. Okay, so you know, you can tread carefully, you can be treading on thin ice. Yeah? And you were asking about trip, where maybe you're walking in the park or something, or you're jogging and there's a stone and you kind of trip, yeah? You trip on the stone or you trip on a step or something. I tripped on a stone and fell? Over. Okay, just checking. Tripped over a stone, tripped on a stone, tripped and fell over, tripped over and fell over, fine. All of them are fine. Okay. Anything else you wanted to ask about from this bit before we move on?
A real taboo, can it be a real taboo?
It's a real taboo, yes it can be, which is why you put taboo before no-no when you're writing the exercise, because it forces you to use it earlier. Yeah, you can say it's a real taboo, or it's a real taboo subject, so it can be a noun or an adjective like that.
Can it be a real mind?
Taboo topic, yes.
Can be taboo topic.
A real minefield, not for number 9.
Well, not in this context, but like as a collocation, a real mind.
Yeah? Tell me.
A taboo topic, can I say?
Taboo topic, taboo subject, taboo area, taboo question.
For number 9, can it be a real faux pas in Japan?
That's a real faux pas. Yes, it could be as well. Yeah, I mean, it's basically the same meaning, but you can't commit a no-no. So you can say, it's a real no-no, I committed a bit of a faux pas, it's a real faux pas, fine. Yeah, it could be both. Yeah? So, we're going to do some talking connected to all of this, okay? Have a quick look at number 2. You've got 5 questions. I'll give you a minute just to read through them, check you understand them.
Can I ask a question?
Of course you can.
Is putting your foot in it is only about annoying or upsetting someone? Or
It's about annoying or upsetting someone accidentally.
yeah, it's not
and-
about like embarrassing yourself.
No, it's about feeling bad because you've done something to annoy or upset the other person. And you ask the question or you say the comment and then you kind of go, I put my foot in it. Yeah? Can also be, I guess, an action, you know. So we had a guy at work once who lost his job because he sent an email saying how much he hated the boss using very strong language. Instead of sending it to one person, he managed to send it to the entire department, including the boss. So, you know, he really put his foot in it.
He got sacked?
And he got sacked for this, yeah. If you'd seen the particular language he chose to describe the boss, you would understand why. It wasn't polite, yeah? So, in a minute, you're going to talk about these questions. First, you choose one question for me. Pick whichever one you want.
Number 5.
Number 5, have I ever felt absolutely mortified? I'm not easily embarrassed, but I do have one situation where I was absolutely mortified. Years ago, I used to teach these monolingual groups from Japan every summer. And they were usually really kind of scared and shy, and they didn't like using English, and they probably found me quite a strange person to be teaching them because I'm kind of noisy and I wave my arms around a lot. And they were really quiet. And every time I'd ask a question, they'd just put their head down. Don't look at me, don't talk to me. And when they would answer, it would often be very slow. It would be like, oh, come on. And I was trying to get on with this class. And one day, I'd cycled to work, and I was in the classroom, and I'm trying to get on with the class. I'd been teaching them 3 or 4 days, and I was writing something on the board, and I scratched like this, okay? And as I scratched, I suddenly thought, I can feel skin, okay? So I look like this, and I realise my jeans from about here to about here were completely ripped, and my arse was basically hanging out of the back of my jeans. And it's like, oh, why didn't you tell me? Yeah. And the students all just go, oh. You think this is embarrassing for you? This is worse for us. And so I had to kind of think, what do I do? What's the correct thing to do in this situation? So I sort of said, I'm just going to go to the toilet. And I went to the toilet and took my trousers off, and I realised they're completely destroyed. And I'm thinking, I have to do something before I go back in the class. I don't have time to go and buy new trousers. So I found a newspaper and some sellotape, and I basically wrapped newspaper all around my legs and everything, all around the trousers. So I went back in with like newspaper leg, and taught for the next 3 hours, and then had to go and buy some new jeans. And it was a painfully embarrassing experience, and that's one of the only times I've ever been absolutely mortified in the language classroom. So, just with the people next to you, okay? These questions, your answers.
It's like 3 people would be too crowded for such a community. I remember I had a teacher
I'm actually American.
I just come back from Denmark for some time, and we had this conversation about what we like doing something, and I was telling him about how much I love skiing, not the first time I ever skiing, how much I love it, and I was so excited about this topic. Have you ever tried skiing? Oh, you should. It's great. And obviously you can't do it. My foot in it.
it's a good question. Though. They really put their foot in it. Yeah, it's a fixed thing. You don't reiterate it depending on how many people. It's a good question, though. Yeah. No, they really put their foot in it. Yeah. In a big group.
The number of followers.
This was you crashed your husband's car or something? It happens.
We'll just say one year for some of the year and then, okay,
So, stop there. I'm sorry, I'll cut you short. No, it's not to do with subjects. It's to do with breaking social rules or breaking social codes. It's a taboo subject.
If I want to say, do you want to steer clear of the subject of the conflict in the East?
It's a taboo subject, or it's a real minefield. It's a real minefield. It's a taboo subject. No. You know, usually it's to do with actions or activities or breaking social codes. So, I mean, like, for example, for me, I'm quite a tactile person and I touch people when I'm talking to them and things sometimes. I learned the hard way that with Thai students, if you put the hand on top of the head, it's like deeply offensive. Okay? So, you know, you might be kind of saying, well, look, if you do, don't touch my head. It's a real no-no. Yeah, it's that. It's kind of, you do something and then you realise I've broken a rule that I didn't realise existed here. Yeah?
Why would you do that?
I was explaining something about heads. You know, I think it's like, it was something like, so, you know, I don't know, I can't remember. I was young and stupid. And,
I had a Ukrainian
I've learned limits
teacher
and
of
boundaries
Ukrainian
since then.
in school, and he would always do like this to girls' ears, you know. He would.
Creepy.
Yeah. It was
Creepy.
No,
Creepy.
kids seem to be enjoying that.
Creepy.
No.
I'm sorry, creepy.
You think?
Wrong.
They're 8.
Even wronger. It's super wrong. I wouldn't want male teachers touching my daughter's ears, really. Why? Why do you need to touch her ears?
Why did you touch a Thai girl's head?
No, it was a guy. I mean, it didn't make it right either way.
It takes to very small children when they touch their head. Very small children. Just
Where?
to calm them down. I know that this is written in the instructions for
maybe.
foreigners.
That's different to a man stroking an 8-year-old girl's ears, which is a bit weird if you don't mind me saying. But hey, if you enjoyed it, who am I to tell you you were wrong? Yeah? So, a few things here. This thing about, you know, putting your foot in it. If you're the kind of person who doesn't take offence easily, and you're not easily offended, you're not easily upset, you're quite... Something skinned. Thick-skinned. Yeah, and the opposite? Thin-skinned. Yeah, so, you know, for me, I'm quite thick-skinned, personally, you know, like a rhino. You know, not easily upset or not easily offended by things people say. Huh? Oh, but you're doing so well, you're so great. Group hug. Exactly, yeah. Yeah. Do you want me to pat your head? Yeah. And if you are really, really mortified and you're in that kind of, oh my God, I can't believe I did this, I don't want to be here at this particular moment, we have a fixed expression for this. I wanted the ground to
Swallow me up.
Swallow me up or swallow me. And before it can do that, I wanted it to open up. Yeah, I wanted the ground to open up and swallow me.
I'm also saying I wanted the earth.
Yeah, the earth, the ground, the floor.
Whatever.
And not whatever, not the elephant, not the aubergine. Yeah. And now the last one, this story you were telling about your husband, ex-husband, friend,
Okay.
yeah, whoever it was, who put this big dent in his car, and then he had to take it to the mechanic and find out how much it cost. And when he found out how much it cost, it was like this kind of awful experience, because it cost, if something's really, really expensive, it cost an arm and a leg, or it cost a fortune.
You often actually say that.
Cost an arm and a leg. Yeah.
It's the first time I've heard it.
Yeah, I'll say it again and then you'll have heard it twice. It cost an arm
What
and
is
a
more
leg.
common? An
It's
arm?
twice as common as you thought it was.
What is more common? It costs an arm and a leg, or it costs a fortune?
Both fine. Both really common actually in spoken English. What I wouldn't say is it cost a lot or it cost a lot of money, or if you want to emphasise it, you go for the more idiomatic way of saying it. God, it cost a fortune, it cost an arm and a leg. Yeah. And it's always an arm and a leg, not a leg and an arm. Even though it's the same price. It's fixed. So, moving swiftly on. Give me a minute. You're going to hear a quick conversation, okay? It's a woman called Erica talking to a friend of hers called Kirsten about a visit to her in-laws in the Ivory Coast in West Africa. Okay? As you're listening, try to find out how does she get on with her mother-in-law, father-in-law, in-laws, what happened during the meal out, and how does she put her foot in it at the end of the conversation that you're listening to. Okay? You ready?
Yes.
Let's go. Please work.
Exercise 3. 1. You listen.
So, how was your holiday? How were the in-laws?
Not too bad, all things considered. They could have been worse, you know. They seem to be gradually coming to terms with the fact that their darling son has dared to marry a foreigner.
I should hope so too, after all the time you two have been together. What is it now, 4 years? 5?
Getting on for 6 now, actually. Yeah, no. They're kind of getting used to me, I think. Though Olivier's mum does still sometimes have this really annoying habit of pretending not to understand me when I talk to her in English.
That'd drive me nuts. That would.
Yeah, it can be pretty infuriating, I can tell you. And she also sometimes talks about me in the third person, like I'm not even there. But apart from that, it's pretty good now. Olivier's sisters and his big brother seem to have taken me into the fold, and I'm slowly getting my head around the way the family works, what the pecking order is, that kind of thing.
So that's good then?
Yeah, it is, but I did manage to commit a major faux pas one day over dinner, though.
Come on then, spill the beans.
Oh God, it was awful, me and my big mouth, really. What happened was we all went out for dinner one night to this really nice little restaurant in the village where they live, and half the family were there. All these uncles and aunts and cousins, and I was stuck down one end of this great big long table with my mother-in-law and Olivier and one of his sisters, and they were all explaining to me who everyone was, you know, and I was trying to keep up and try to match names to faces, when suddenly Olivier said, "Oh, and that's my uncle Didier." And I'd heard about this guy because he was always talking about him on the phone every time he phoned his sisters, you know, the running soap opera that's their family.
Yeah.
And so I knew he'd got divorced recently and left his wife of 20-something years and run off with one of his students from the university where he works, right? So I innocently said, "Oh, so he's the divorced one, right?" And no sooner had I finished the sentence that this awkward silence fell, and everyone starts shifting uncomfortably in their seats. Olivier starts kicking me under the table, and I'm kind of silently mouthing, "What?" to him. Then his mom gives me this really icy look. It was horrible.
Oh no, you poor thing. You must have been mortified. So, what was the deal? Why all the tension?
Well, that was the thing. I had no idea at this stage. We all just sat there for what seemed like an eternity, and then one of the brothers changed the subject and started making small talk about the menu, and that was that. It was only later that Olivia bothered to tell me that talking about the divorce in public was a real no-no, and that his mum couldn't bear to hear about it. I mean, how was I supposed to know? His whole family is a real minefield, honestly. I should just never have opened my mouth. Anyway, enough about all that. How was your holiday? Didn't you go to Morocco with that new bloke of yours? What was his name again?
Jack, yeah, we were supposed to. But,
What? Kirsten? What? Oh no, I've put my foot in it again, haven't I?
It's okay. I'll be alright in a minute. Sorry, I'm just being stupid about it. I never liked him that much anyway, really.
So, just quickly, with the people next to you, okay? These 3 questions, your answers, see how much you got.
Generally, yeah, we are getting used to the party. Yeah, and absolutely, it's not like it was a no-no to talk about divorce. At the end of the conversation, yeah. We talked about your friend's boyfriend and still talking about
divorce in public, their country is very dangerous.
Okay, so let's just go through. How does she get on with her in-laws? It could be better, it could be worse. And with her mother-in-law? Yeah, you know, they're slowly getting used to each other. What seems to be the problem with the mother-in-law? So, first of all, she sometimes pretends not to understand her when she's speaking English to her, and will turn round and say to the other guy in French, "What's she talking about again?" And the other problem?
She talks about the girl in the third person.
She talks about her in the third person, like, you know, your wife. Yeah, and the other problem?
Which wasn't mentioned.
Ah, there was one more there. Then there was this whole thing about she's finally coming to terms with the fact that her darling son has married a foreigner. Oh, yeah, okay, so maybe this is the root of all the problems about not understanding you and talking about her in the third person. And the problem during the meal out?
She mentioned that
divorce.
Okay, so you know she's trying to. Okay, that's your cousin here. Okay, and that's the divorced one. And then? Yeah, basically it's a complete no-no topic. They may talk about it on the phone to each other within the family, but it's not okay for the foreigner to mention it in public. Yeah. Okay. And the kind of faux pas she commits at the end, or how does she put her foot in it? Yeah, she basically asks about. Yeah. How was your holiday to Morocco? Didn't you go with your new boyfriend? And the problem? Yeah. He's the new ex-boyfriend. Basically, I never liked him much anyway. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, I'm going to keep you, I think, in pairs. Okay. Have a look at number 4. In number 4, you've just got some adjectives and nouns and adverbs and verbs that you heard used in the listening. All I'd like you to try and do, match them up, see if you can remember what they were talking about with each one. So, for example, this icy? Look. Yeah, can you remember why they were talking about it? Who gave her?
Divorce.
The mother-in-law, when she mentioned the divorced uncle, gave her this icy look. And if you give someone an icy look, how? Oh, you're good at this. My goodness. Jeez, years of practice, clearly. Yeah. Give me a few minutes with the people next to you, okay? Which words go together? Can you remember why?
Packing what silence probably. Oh yes.
It's like who's where in the kind of system within the family. So who's the big boss, who's the little boss, who's next down, who's at the bottom? I guess it comes from like chickens, you know, they kind of, who's the king chicken, who's the weakest chicken.
What does packing order mean?
I'll come to it in a minute. Yeah. It's like the hierarchy within the family, or within the company, or within the school, or within the class. Yeah. Who's the boss? Who's the second boss? Who's in the middle? Who's at the bottom? Who kicks who? Yeah. Pecking order. I think it comes from chickens pecking each other. You know, like, yeah. And I guess the king chicken pecks all the other chickens, and then the weakest, the rooster, the weakest chicken gets pecked by everybody. Yeah. It's like a hierarchy within the family. When you're ready, try 7 to 11 as well. Yeah. Give you 3 more minutes.
When she mentioned that so someone suddenly after this long awkward silence, someone just decided to change this, and managed to start small talk. Major faux pas, so she committed a major.
So let's just go through it. Let's check.
The dinner.
So the pecking order. Yeah, it's basically like the hierarchy within the family. Like, you know, who's the big boss? Who's the second boss? Who's in the middle? Who's at the bottom? Who kicks who? Yeah, and I guess it comes from chickens, where chickens kind of peck each other. You know, to establish who's the king of the farmyard and who's the weakest one at the bottom. And can you remember why they were talking about it?
Yeah, she's trying to understand the pecking order.
Yeah, you know, she's slowly working out the pecking order in the family. You know, which one's the most important uncle? Who can make jokes about who? Which one's the least important cousin? Okay. And an awkward silence. Yeah, when?
When she mentioned.
Yeah, like no sooner had she finished the sentence than the awkward silence fell on the room. You know, oh, he's the divorced one. Okay. And small talk. Yeah, why?
Small talk about
They started to change this.
The brother started making small talk about the menu and the meal and yeah, okay. And a major? Faux pas. How do you pronounce it? Faux pas. Yeah, why? She realised she'd committed this major faux pas. And this annoying habit. Yeah, who? Which annoying habit? The mum's got this annoying habit of talking about her in the third person like she's not there. Okay. And I innocently said, yeah, can you remember what she innocently said? Oh, he's the divorced one. Okay. And they started shifting uncomfortably in their seats. Yeah, how? Yeah, okay, like that. You've obviously spent a lot of time sitting in classrooms, you're good at this. And I was silently mouthing. Yeah, mouthing what?
What?
Yeah, basically, like that, yeah? Whispering. Not even whispering, it's just yeah. Those of you who've had children, you will probably remember those arguments you had in the first couple of years of your children's lives, where you're kind of holding the baby at 3 o'clock in the morning and you haven't had any sleep for 2 months, and you're arguing about whose turn it is to change the nappy. And you're going, yeah. Oh man. Still, good luck with that. Yeah. It's amazing how big an argument you can have just by mouthing.
Big one.
And they're gradually coming to terms with it. With what?
With her being
with the fact that their darling boy has married a foreigner. You know, they're slowly accepting it. Anything else that you might take time to slowly come to terms with?
teaching Lexical.
Indeed. Any other traumatic experiences apart from that?
Living in a foreign country.
Huh?
Living in a foreign country.
Yeah, no, it takes time to get used to it. Huh?
Okay, so terms it's about relationship.
No, coming to terms with something is usually about a fact about life or a new state that you're in that takes time. So it can be like someone's sudden death. If someone suddenly dies, it takes you a long time to come to terms with it. Can often be people's sexuality. You know, I mean, I've got a friend who was married and had 2 children, and finally, when he was about 48, he finally allowed himself to acknowledge the fact he was actually gay. And, you know, it took him like 30 years to come to terms with it. And we talked about it. It's like, it just took me a long time to accept it. I didn't want to accept it. It takes a long time to come to terms with those things. Yeah? And I'm already. Thank you very much. I'm slowly coming to terms with it. And gradually? Have we done them?
Gradually coming to terms, but
gradually coming to terms with it, I'm sorry. I'm slowly losing my mind. I'm slowly getting my head round it.
Can we change them? Can we say...
Yes, you can, but it's just how you heard them there. Gradually and slowly in this context, interchangeable. And she's slowly getting her head round what? Basically, the family, the pecking order, how they work, what the relationship is between everybody. Yeah? And anything else you can slowly get your head round? Teaching lexically.
Yeah.
Anything else? Yeah.
Math.
Again?
Math.
Maths, just, yeah, I mean, a topic generally, how things work. I mean, for me, like, you know when you get, like, your first smartphone or you get a new gadget, it's like, I don't understand how it all works. I'm slowly getting my head round it. For me, yesterday at the dinner, there was this other guy, the Norwegian guy, Danish guy, who was at the conference. It was his first time in Ukraine. And I can see him kind of going, this is all a bit strange, I don't know what's going on around here. For me, you know, this is like my 15th time coming here or something. You slowly get your head round the way things work when you visit a place a lot, and you slowly kind of start to understand what's normal and what's not somewhere. Yeah? Or not. Yeah? Yeah, you never get your head round it. Yeah? So, I'm going to stop that part there, okay? I think the first thing that I'll do is, with the people next to you, what do you think was similar to the way you teach? What was different? What would you like to ask about what you watched? Okay? Give you a couple of minutes. What was similar? What was different?